Today, we are diving into an idea that's going to challenge pretty much everything you think about justice, blame, and why things happen. We're going to start with a really tough, real world problem and then flip it on its head, looking at it not through our emotions, but through the cold, hard laws of nature. All right, let's just jump right in. Picture this. Someone who is mentally unwell commits a murder. The court steps in and says, look, this person cannot be held criminally responsible. So instead of prison, they're sent for treatment. I mean, how do you even react to that? It brings up all these powerful, gut-wrenching feelings about justice, about safety, about what's right and wrong. It's a real dilemma. But what if the whole point wasn't about finding the right punishment? The material we're looking at today asks this completely mind-bending question. Can you even imagine finding a solution where nobody is left dissatisfied? Not the victim's family, not society, nobody. It sounds totally impossible, right? But that's the starting line for this whole different way of thinking. To even get close to that kind of solution, we have to do a major shift in our perspective. We have to pull ourselves away from that immediate emotional reaction, the one that screams for crime and punishment, and start looking for something much, much deeper. We're talking about the underlying laws of nature that actually made it happen in the first place. Okay, so the absolute core idea here is this. In the entire universe, nothing, and I mean nothing, happens without a reason. Not a war, not a car accident, not some personal tragedy. Every single thing that occurs, down to the tiniest 0.1 millimeter, is the direct result of a cause. It just has to be. And if we can accept that, then our job isn't to point fingers and assign blame. Our job is to find the reason. And this is where it gets really clear. This slide lays out the two paths, right? On the left, you've got our default setting, emotional judgment. It's all about crime and punishment, endless arguments about who's right and who's wrong. And where does it usually get us? Nowhere. Just more dissatisfaction. But look at the other side, the laws of nature approach. The goal there isn't to argue, it's to search for the reason, to understand cause and effect. And that path doesn't lead to more arguments. It leads to study, to research, to actually learning something. So you might be asking, okay, that sounds great, but how do you actually do it? How do you flip that switch from our normal emotional brain to this more analytical one? Well, there's a method. And it starts with something that honestly feels totally backwards in today's world. You have to admit that you just don't know. And here's the roadmap. Step 1, and this is the most important part, you have to just admit, I don't have the answer. This is so crucial because it stops you from just jumping to a conclusion based on your feelings or what you already believe. Only when you've done that can you actually start the real work. You can start researching, digging, to find the real cause, the real underlying law that made this thing happen. I love this quote. It just nails the passion you need for real learning. If you don't know something, it should drive you nuts. You should be desperate to figure it out. But it's so much easier to just point a finger, right? Just blame someone, and you'll feel like the problem's solved. But when we do that, the real answer, the actual reason why it all went down, it just stays buried forever. Okay, so this is where it all leads. And I gotta tell you, this is the most radical, most challenging part of this entire way of thinking. Once you stop blaming, the very words we use to make sense of the world, they just start to fall apart. So get ready, because this next idea changes the definition of reality itself. Here it is. From the point of view of nature's laws, there are no victims, and there are no perpetrators either. Those are just labels, concepts that we, as humans, made up. What's actually happening is something else entirely. So if there are no victims and no perpetrators, what is there? There's only the environment. In this way of seeing things, every event, whether it's a crime, a financial scam, even a war, it's not a fight between a good guy and a bad guy. It's simply an environment, or hwangyang, as you see here, which is the original Korean term from the source. And the whole purpose of that environment isn't to make people suffer. It's to give humanity a lesson. It's a setting that's perfectly designed for us to learn something we need to know so we can grow. Think about what this means. Our whole justice system, the ideas of crime and punishment themselves, are just things we invented. They're logical systems we built to help manage society. And maybe they're useful, for sure, but they aren't fundamental laws of the universe, not in the same way gravity is. They're just the rules of a game we created, not the laws of reality we discovered. So, what do we do with all this? What does it mean for you and me when we're watching the news or just dealing with our own problems? Well, this isn't just some abstract theory. It's actually calling us to take on a personal mission. So here's the real takeaway for us. We're being asked to look at all these difficult things happening in the world, not as tragedies or things to get angry about, but as study materials. Our job is to fight that urge to get stuck in judging or just complaining about it. Instead, our role, what the source calls our historical mission, is to research these events and figure out the deep down reasons why these environments are showing up. Why this? Why now? What's the lesson here? At the end of the day, this whole perspective is really saying that our most important job is to be explorers of the truth. All the difficult, confusing, and painful stuff happening in the world, it isn't a sign that the universe is broken. It's just a sign that nature has given us a new puzzle to solve. And it's our mission to find the answers, because those answers are what will help all of us grow. And that brings us to the final question. And this one is for you to take with you. Think about some challenge in your life right now, or maybe a big news story that's been on your mind. What if you stopped looking at it as a problem that needs someone to blame? What if you saw it as an environment perfectly designed to teach you something important? What would that lesson be? It's a huge shift in thinking, and it can change absolutely everything. Thanks for exploring it with me.